Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Radio Strong Style. Radio Strong Style is a New Japan Pro Wrestling fan podcast. This is a podcast for New Japan Pro Wrestling fans by New Japan Pro Wrestling fans. I am your host. My name is Disco Stu Suzuki, and we will be running down all of the news and headlines from the week as we are recording this on the eve of the Best of the Super Juniors. But first, I must introduce my co-host, hailing from parts unknown and joining us from an undisclosed location in the Pacific Northwest, where he is currently on his annual Sasquatch hunting trip, the world's foremost cryptozoologist, Tony Tiger Mask. Tony, how does this illustrious evening find you?
Great. Just been chasing Bigfoot from the Devil's Churn through the giant spruce. Just enjoying the weather out here on the coast.
All right. So, in news on our podcast front, we are now up on iTunes. And so, listeners, if you are listening on the iTunes or if you want to find us on iTunes, please rate, subscribe, and give us 5 stars. If you do give us a 5-star review, we will read it on the air, and I will pour a drink and give you a strong style toast because I basically got to drink some bourbon while I'm doing this podcast because I'm not a public speaker in any capacity. But we do have a 5-star review already, even though we're only on our second episode. And this week's review is coming to us from Christy Jewell, where she says, like a forearm to your ear hole, it's so much fun. And so, Christy, this drink is for you. I'll be pouring a little shot of Bullet bourbon. So we'll do that real quickly. Yeah, there you go. So, Christy, thank you for the 5-star review, and listeners, keep them coming. We enjoy all the reviews we get on iTunes. So we'll get right into the news, and the big news this week coming out in New Japan Pro Wrestling is New Japan adjacent. The big news is coming out of All In, the All In event coming that's going to be happening in Illinois in September 1st. And basically they had their press conference, and then they also had the ticket on sale. So we'll go into the press conference first. Billy Corrigan from the Smashing Pumpkins. He was, wrestling fans will know he was trying to. He's one of the parties that was interested in buying TNA/Impact Wrestling, but he now owns NWA. He began the press conference as the first guest, and he announced that the NWA title, the historic NWA title, the 10 pounds of gold, will be defended at All In. And at this point, Cody followed him and announced that Billy forgot that Cody will be the one challenging for the NWA title, regardless of who the champion is. So that's the first announced match we have at All In. It's Cody for the NWA title. The current champion of the NWA is Nick Aldis. That is the former Magnus, which fans will know from Impact Wrestling, TNA/Impact/Global Force Wrestling. And then after that, Marty Scurll and Hangman Page, they took questions from the audience. One journalist kept asking questions about Flip Gordon. The member of the press was asked to come up front, and it turned out to be Flip Gordon. So Gordon then super kicked Marty Scurll and Hangman Page, put him through a table. The Young Bucks then came out, and they awkwardly acknowledged Flip and announced that Rey Mysterio Jr. is the latest name to be All In. There's like a lot of big names that have been bandied about for who was going to be announced, like CM Punk, Chris Jericho, other big WWE names. But it turned out Rey Mysterio Jr. Is the huge name that they announced at this press conference. So he will be working All In. So Tony, did you see the press conference? Do you have any thoughts about what happened?
Yeah, I saw it. I watched it live, and I thought it was good. I'm happy with the announcement. I was happy for these guys with the sellout. And I think it's the NWA title being defended and Cody Rhodes challenging for it is historic. I think his dad was the NWA champion 3 times. And and to have that belt, that specific belt, which Billy Corgan, I know he's got Dave Lagana on there. They're, really trying to bring some prominence back to that belt and that brand. And, to have the son of the American dream, the grandson of a plumber out there is pretty historic. So I'm looking forward to it. And Nick Aldis is he's a good talent too. He was one of the mainstays over there in Impact for a while. He's huge in the UK. So I think that's going to be a good match, and I'm excited for that matchup. And then I was excited that they announced Rey Mysterio. I think that really, throws some wrenches in for my thoughts on, the Super Juniors and even Dominion and what's going to happen over there, because I know Rey Mysterio's had involvement with Marty. He's had involvement with Will Ospreay, and they're both in the Super Juniors tournament. And then, do they do Rey and Marty, or, just all of those possibilities? Do they do Rey and Marty at All In, and then Dominion and that focuses maybe on Mysterio, Ospreay, or not, or what? So.
Yeah, the thing about Rey Mysterio is, you're looking at the biggest name in Lucha Libre worldwide. So Rey Mysterio is a huge name. No matter what match he's in, I think that's nothing but a plus for All In. And then looking at the NWA title that Cody's going to be fighting for, yeah, like you said, it's he's the son of Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, one of the great all-time NWA champions. And to see him fighting for his father's belt, I couldn't be more excited. I kind of really hope we get an actual Dusty finish though, because I can't really see Cody holding the belt. I don't know what kind of deal he's going to have with Billy Corgan, or he could hold it for a while, but I would like to see it, because everyone thinks the Dusty finish is this guy won, and oh no, he didn't win because the guy kicked out or whatever, the other ref saw something. But the real way the Dusty finish would go down was you would think you saw you were watching Dusty Rhodes, he was fighting for the belt, you thought you saw Dusty Rhodes win. You went home happy. You saw Dusty Rhodes win the championship. You went home happy. And then later on, a day later, a week later, then they announce, oh, well, it turns out he cheated or some kind of rule was broken, so he's not actually the champion, and the other guy keeps the championship. So that's, you sent the crowd happy. You sent the crowd home happy, and you continued the storyline. So I would really like to see an actual Dusty finish. But if he gets the belt, even better. That's probably better as far as NWA is concerned on the Billy Corgan end.
Yeah, so. I know those guys too are all about branding and co-branding and co-promoting and all that stuff. And I know NWA's out there trying to get that brand out there too. So having Cody Rhodes toting that belt around, doing all the stuff he's doing, is just getting their brand out there more. And it's a legacy thing. And touch back on Rey Mysterio too. I think he's actually, because he was supposed to be at that Long Beach show, that Long Beach New Japan show. He was supposed to have that match there, and he got injured before that. And I think he's kind of, he's a proud dude, and I think he's kind of got something to prove. He wanted to perform in front of this audience, and I think he's going to really bring something to All In. Hopefully he's announced for a match is what my hopes are.
Oh, yeah, I think you will be. And so after the press conference, we then had the All In on sale. And under 30 minutes, Cody and the Young Bucks were told that all 10,000 seats in the Sears Center Arena were sold out. Complete sellout. A lot of fans were shut out. I think there was issues with the website. People were trying to get on, and it just put you into the virtual waiting room, and you couldn't even get in to get the seats. And many fans were complaining that scalpers picked up all of the tickets. But as we're looking right now, we're going online looking at secondary ticket selling websites like StubHub, and it looks like there's only about 400 seats out of 10,000 seats on StubHub. So, to me, there's a few, so there's these 400 seats, and some of them are $1,000 or something. But 400 seats out of 10,000, that's a drop in the bucket. That's really nothing. It really shows that the fans, all the hype was real. The fans were there for this show, even though there wasn't much announced for the show. There was no blow away, I got to see that match or I got to see that talent announced, they sold out in like 30 minutes. So, I mean, how are you feeling about this, Tony?
I just feel like even with the lack of the announced matches or that real marquee talent name, Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, even without that, I feel like it's the, ultimate ensemble piece, man. The Bucks and Cody are big names, and, they announced enough talent underneath, and then to go along with the StarCast and the conventions and the sponsors and those other things that they're bringing to the table with this event, I feel like it was enough. So the sellout didn't surprise me, but I thought it would sell really well, but I didn't think it would sell out that fast. So it did surprise me, but I knew it would sell well.
I was expecting the sellout too. Like just in general, I'm really paranoid about ticket sales. Like when I'm going to go to an event, so like I treat them all like it's PWG, like a Battle of Los Angeles every year. Like I'm crazy about trying to get the tickets. But a lot of people seem to think it was. I mean, like it was kind of a lackluster card announcement, but the hype was there. I mean, you had that being the elite, like you're saying, like the hype was there for the people, and you have people from different countries, just selling, coming in and buying all these tickets. But then you look at conversely, like so we saw this immediate sellout 30 minutes for this 10,000 seat arena, but we also had to look at like what New Japan did at the Cow Palace in San Francisco, and they've only sold about 3,000 or so tickets for that event. It just goes to show like you got to have that like connection, that you got to have that open connection with the fans, telling them, like building up the hype and giving them the information about the show, which I think New Japan was just kind of like, oh yeah, we're New Japan, buy our tickets. Whereas the elite, Cody and the Young Bucks, they've over a year they've been building this up on being the elite and through their their different events and their different appearances.
Well, we got to think too that this is, the appropriately named All In. These guys this is Cody and the Bucks' baby. Like this is their project, what they're invested in. Even though New Japan is making inroads into the United States and putting money behind shows over here, this is still a satellite project, not their go-to definite. Their biggest events of the year that they're really focused on and got to make the big splash. Those still happen in Japan. So although their shows that they've had here have been good shows and had good quality matches on them, it's still their. I think it's down the list of their priorities at this time.
Yeah. Anyway, so now we're gonna get a little bit into the StarCast. So StarCast, and that's with 2 R's. If you're gonna try to look it up online, because if you use 1 R, you're never gonna find it. The StarCast is going to be the little podcasting / wrestling legends convention that's happening around the All In event. And this is going to be from Thursday, August 30th to Sunday, September 2nd. And the tickets are on sale for this already as well. They're not completely sold out, but they are going very fast. They've announced a lot of names. I mean, you got all your all-in guys like Cody, Young Bucks, Marty Scurll, but a lot of legends, a lot of great legends, like guys you would see at say, like the WrestleCon with, during WrestleMania. Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, X-Pac, Terry Funk, Diamond Dallas Page, Eric Bischoff, Conan, Jeff Jarrett, Macaulay Culkin for some reason. I'm not exact. I mean, I know he showed up at, like, I believe, one of the PWG events, and he's a fan, so I don't know if he's got a podcast.
He's got a podcast now. Okay, yeah, so he's going to be doing a thing there, I believe.
Yeah, and so any kind of major podcast that or wrestling legend you can think of, Jerry the King Lawler, Billy Gunn, Tony Schiavone, Colt Cabana. I mean, all these guys. Dutch Mantel, comedian Ron Funches will be there. The Papa Buck, Matthew Lee Massey, the father of Nick and Matt Jackson. He does all the music for Being the Elite. He's actually going to be there. Joey Janela.
Is he the old Buck?
Yeah, he's the old Buck, exactly. Jay Lethal, Blue Meanie, James Ellsworth, Hurricane Shane Helms, Disco Inferno, Mikey Whipwreck, Medusa, Leva Bates, Noelle Foley, that's Mick Foley's daughter. Let's see who else we got. Kevin Sullivan. I mean, just a ton of people. Dave Meltzer, Brian Alvarez. The ghost of Joey Ryan will be there. Joey Ryan has been murdered on being the elite recently, and his ethereal spirit will show up at the event. So just a ton of names. Like, I mean, the amount of talent and names they've been announcing for this event is really kind of blown me away. Like this is like definitely rivaling the like WrestleCon event. Like we spoke about, that happens around WrestleMania. But the things that, so everyone that has a podcast, the We Watch Wrestling podcast is going to be there. So if you're a fan of wrestling podcasts, you like just a standard all-purpose wrestling podcast, definitely check out the We Watch Wrestling. Those guys are great. But you're going to get a ton of like kind of weird events that you just can't get anywhere else. Like you're going to get karaoke with Marty Scurll. The Papa Buck, the Young Buck's father who does all the music, he's going to do a jam session, and you're going to get a ton of like live podcasts from all these guys that run podcasts. Leva Bates is going to run video game tournaments. I guess they're going to have like a video game room. I mean, so all these amazing events are happening. I mean, anything jumping out to you about Starrcast, Tony?
Just how big it took off. I mean, I heard when they first started, I think I heard about it on the Bruce Pritchard show that they were going to be there and they were going to it. And then it just sort of snowballed after that with all the podcasts being announced. I was just shocked at how many were going to be there, that's going to be just as big an event as the wrestling event. And especially if you're into wrestling podcasts, which, you know, the audience that bought these tickets that fast that's going to be a cool event to go to with all the meet and greets and signings and all of that too, man. That's going to be a good weekend.
I don't know how many tickets they can sell to this. I don't know if it's like more than 10,000, but I'm actually kind of surprised it hasn't sold out yet. And you know, if you're going to be in the area or you couldn't get tickets to All In, I would definitely be going to Starrcast. And I was surprised too to hear that it was 4 days long. I was expecting like 1 day, maybe 2 days, but like a whole 4-day event, like that's bigger than any kind of WrestleCon has ever been.
Well, once they started rolling out that many people, it was like there's no way they could get all these people into 1 day, even if they were all just simultaneously there, you know, especially if they're doing live. Are they going to have a stage or what? And then I saw the tickets are like a tiered system with like access to certain parts. So maybe they have the talent stage, like they have it ran like a card, like this is the main event podcasters that you can access with the most expensive, and you know you're down here with the job squad of podcasts, you know, Macaulay Culkin's at the front door.
So I mean the Starrcast looks to be like a fun time. Like I wish I was going to be there to check this out. You know, maybe next year we'll be big enough to get over there, and maybe me and you'll be there. But you know, we'll see how that turns out. So we'll move on to our next news item. New Japan Pro Wrestling has announced that the tickets for Dominion 2018 have completely sold out. This is pretty fast sellout. I mean, but not unexpected. I mean, you are looking at the main event. You know, as we talked about last week, Kenny Omega versus Okada for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship in that 2 out of 3 falls, no time limit match. You know, quite possibly you're looking at what could be the best wrestling match of all time, because every time these guys get together, it's like the best wrestling match of all time. So this sellout, that's not a big surprise. And we'll move on to our next news item, which we're going to talk about the CEO / New Japan. CEO, of course, is the Fighting Game Championships. If you're a video game fan, these are like, it's like professional. It's esports. It's professional kind of fighting game championships. You got there the Tekken, Street Fighter, all these kind of fighting games, and and it's like a huge event. It's a giant convention they have. It's like another 3-4 day convention. I think they broadcast it on Twitch and YouTube.
Shout out King of Fighters.
Exactly. King of Fighters. Oh yeah, I'm sure there's some King of Fighters going on there. I think the new Dragon Ball Z fighters happening, maybe Super Smash Brothers. But they've announced basically Kenny Omega's kind of spearheading this project. He's friends with the promoter of CEO, Alex Jabali, and basically at CEO they kind of like they've adopted a wrestling presentation. So when it gets down to like the main events, I don't know if it's the whole time, but I think when it gets down to the big time, there's actually like a wrestling ring set up. These guys come out with like wrestling entrances, and they sit in the ring, and that's where they play the game against each other. And as far as their connection with wrestling, yeah, Kenny Omega's been there. And also, if you're a WWE fan, Xavier Woods of the New Day, he has like a YouTube channel, Up, Down, Down, which focuses on video games. So he and Kenny have actually had matches at CEO, like a special like celebrity grudge match against each other, which Kenny won, of course. But this year there's going to be a separate event, CEO and New Japan. There was actually an article which appeared on sports.si.com. That's just Sports Illustrated's website, where they actually billed it as CEO and Kenny Omega present New Japan Pro Wrestling. So this is actually going to be a New Japan Pro Wrestling show, like an actual wrestling card, which is going to be separately ticketed, and it's going to happen during the CEO Fighting Game Championships event. And they've announced a lot of the, I think all of the talent that are going to be there. And so far, the card or the roster is looking like Kenny Omega, Hiromu Takahashi, Ryusuke Taguchi, the Gorillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, Chase Owens, Kota Ibushi, Jushin Thunder Liger, David Finlay, Roppongi 3K, which is Yo and Show, Jeff Cobb, who we'll talk about more later, Tetsuya Naito, Juice Robinson, Dragon Lee of the CMLL talent, Luchador Dragon Lee, and Rocky Romero. So far they're saying there's going to be 2 dark matches and like 5 regular matches, and those matches will be announced in June. And also in the SI.com article, they said that Kenny was looking at streaming options. I mean, one would assume New Japan World would be streaming it, but also, like I said, I believe these CEO events are usually shown on Twitch or YouTube. I'm not exactly sure. I don't follow the Fighting Game Championships super closely, but so that's coming. The tickets are on sale now. The show is going to be June 29th at the Ocean Center in Daytona Beach, Florida, during the CEO convention. I mean, how does this event strike you, Tony?
But when you say matches, they're going to like have actual wrestling matches while they're having these video game championships?
Okay, so let's hold on. Let's talk.
Hiromu's going to play Tekken with Taguchi.
No, okay, so it's actually going to be an actual card. So there's going to be
like a wrestling show.
Yeah, like a wrestling show. So like this event is happening where all these guys are going to Fighting Game Championships, and then there's going to be an actual wrestling show that happens.
So as part of the championship weekend where they're having these championships, there will also be wrestling matches.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't understand when you were running it down. I'm going like, so what is Takashi going to play Tekken against Taguchi? Like, what? Because I'm going, wait a minute, is that a draw? I guess that's cool. Like,
yeah. So, well, I mean, like I said before, like Kenny and Xavier Woods from WWE, they've had a match. They've had like Street Fighter matches before.
No, right? Yeah, that's why I was tripping when you were going on about that, saying they're going to have these matches. They're going to do it as part of this thing. I was like, damn, I know they're all gamers and shit, but that's a lot. Liger be playing Madden or what?
Yeah. I mean, I would expect to see maybe some of them do like kind of like maybe a celebrity match during the event. But you know, that's happening. I mean, I think this is kind of a passion project from Kenny Omega. He is very much into the fighting game championships. He is basically a top tier player, like in wrestling, or sorry, in like fighting games.
Yeah, I know all that. I just don't follow any of that stuff, so I wasn't sure what was going to be going on with. I didn't understand what you meant as far as if it was matches or if it was like, oh no, they're going to have matches. So I was kind of.
Yeah, well, so it actually is matches, and like, if you are in Florida, if you're anywhere near Daytona Beach, Florida, if you're a wrestling fan, I mean, you actually have a great wrestling card coming to you. So I would run and get tickets if I was down anywhere near Florida for this. So now we'll move into our next thing. As all this news was unfolding with All In and the CEO of New Japan event, Bushiroad's chairman, Chairman Kadani, announced that New Japan Pro Wrestling will have a new president. He's going to serve along Chairman Sugabayashi, and his name is Harold Meij. Now, this is a Dutch last name, so we're not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but it's spelled M-E-I-J, so I think Meij is reasonable to think that's the correct pronunciation. Harold is, as we said, he's from the Netherlands, born in 1963. Came to Japan in his childhood. He's lived in Japan. He's lived in Indonesia. He's lived in the U.S. In fact, he graduated from Bucknell University, and he attended New York University. Most recently, he was president of Tomy Toys, and also he worked for Coca-Cola Japan. Apparently, he was the one who suggested that New Japan Pro Wrestling sell the plush teddy bears that you've seen. They've had the whole LIJ set, and also Okada and Tanahashi. And then Meij had an interview with Nikkei magazine in Japan, and he stated that, and I quote, "I want to get to 10 billion yen in sales within 3 years at least. The Sumo Association pulls in 12 billion in revenue, and that's just domestic, so it would be a failure if we're not at that level. Long term, I want us to trouble WWE. If you just look at our product, you'll see that it's not out of the question. Japan represents 10% of the global economy. Language, culture, business style are all big hurdles to growing that. The Japanese sense of duty doesn't translate to a foreign contract-driven culture. It hurts Japanese companies in acquisitions and negotiations. For me, I don't have problems of culture or language. I can do business anywhere, and I can become the model of marketing sports content worldwide." So, I mean, this stands as like a huge hire for New Japan Pro Wrestling as they approach one of their most profitable years yet. We're looking, New Japan has stated that they are looking at a global expansion. They have been making those moves, but bringing in President Meij really shows that they're all about it. I'm expecting big inroads into America. I mean, they've been making inroads to America, to Australia, all worldwide, and I expect this to be nothing but good news for us as American wrestling fans. Personally, what I hope I see is more English content, more English language content on New Japan World. And I can only assume that President Meij is already subscribed to our podcast. I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't be, but I would hope, the one thing I can really hope for is that, yeah, like I said, more English language content. But please, for the love of God, just give us Kevin Kelly and Don Callis on all the big shows. I want Kevin Kelly and Don Callis running Wrestle Kingdom and the G1 special. I love Jim Ross; he's great, but Kevin Kelly and Don Callis are your main guys, and that's what I would like to see out of them. Tony. What are you hoping to see out of this? I mean, it's hard to say what we're going to get right now. It's just a simple announcement. But, I mean, as an American fan, what would you like to see New Japan do under this new regime?
Well, I think he clearly stated what they want to do, but this guy was also, he took that Tomy Toys when he came on there. They were operating in the red, and he put them into the black for the first time in a long time, according to what I was reading. So this is a guy that's coming in there to make money. And from other statements of his that I read there, he is very confident in their wrestling product and doesn't feel that they need to. He's not, I don't know the workings, but he's, they're pretty confident in their booking and their wrestling people that are running the wrestling. This guy sounds like he more knows how to run the business side of things and how to get the product more out there to take advantage of that. And I feel like with WWE making these record profits out there in the wrestling space, that there's a lot of room, a lot of real estate for other people to take up, to start kind of nibbling away at that payday that they're getting. And this guy clearly knows how to go after it. And he's worked for large corporations before. He worked for Coca-Cola, like you said, and took this last company of his to profit. So I feel like he's going to come in and make a lot more money for these guys. And, that'll be cool. There'll probably be a lot more, merchandise available for American fans and, just available worldwide, if you have those channels to access it. So I think it's a good move. This guy sounds like a smart dude.
Yeah. And, the fact that he's, he's coming from a toy company, I just please give me some kind of crazy like New Japan action figures or something. And I love stuff like that. But anyway, so yeah, we have a new president. Like I said, all we can do is sit back and wait and see what he does. But it looks like the international expansion of New Japan is a go. So our next news item, Jeff Cobb has announced that he's been booked for New Japan's Kizuna Road Tour. That tour annually follows Dominion, and it will lead right up to the G1 special in San Francisco, where, according to Dave Meltzer, Jeff Cobb is expected to appear. And as we already noted in the during the CEO / New Japan item, that Cobb is going to be there as well. So, Cobb, since he appeared in the World Tag League, fans have been wondering when he would be back. So this is looking like it's his return to New Japan Pro Wrestling, and it's looking almost like a full-time return to New Japan Pro Wrestling. I mean, at least that's what I hope it is. I mean, you're looking at Kizuna Road, you're looking at Dominion, you're looking at the CEO / New Japan event, and straight into the G1 special. I mean, me personally, I'm a big fan of Jeff Cobb. I mean, if you're a Lucha Underground viewer, he plays Matanza Cueto, the monster on Lucha Underground. But I mean, this guy to me is all upside. The first time he showed up in New Japan, he was over instantaneously because he's got that look. He's like the short, stocky guy, but he's all power. And if you can do power moves, it's easy to get over with the Japanese crowd. And he's Hawaiian, which there's that connection. There's a big Japanese population in Hawaii. I mean, how do you feel about Jeff Cobb, Tony?
Oh, I love him. It's great, and he's a new, fresh powerhouse over there, for New Japan to come in, kind of maybe slide into some of them Michael Elgin matches, kind of take his spot a little bit. And, I love him. I think he's great. We saw him live down there in Long Beach. So I think he's awesome. I think it's a big tour for him, big signing for New Japan. So yeah, good on both sides.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think we're all happy to see Jeff Cobb back. I think all the fans will be happy to see him back.
Well, and I'll take Jeff Cobb against Ishii as many times as I can get it. So
yeah. That's yeah. So we're gonna take a little quick detour out of the news for a second, and we're gonna discuss an event that happened on New Japan NJPW World, the New Japan streaming service. It happened on May 15th. It's the only event that's been shown on New Japan World since the last time we broadcast, and that was the Lionsgate Project 12. So basically, Lionsgate Project is kind of like New Japan Pro Wrestling's developmental promotion, kind of similar to NXT on the WWE end, but not as polished. and basically you're going to get a lot of it's your young lions, and you're going to get a few like featured veterans, and it's more like just so the young lions can get a sense of working a show where they're like kind of like the prime roster, where it's not, where they're not just showing up in a few early matches. So that showed up, and it was on New Japan World. It was on May 15th. It was shown from the Shinjuku Face venue in Tokyo. This is a smaller venue. Has about a 600 seat capacity. I don't know if they sold it out or not. And basically, it was a really quick event. The whole thing, all told, it was 5 matches, 1 hour and 45 minutes. I think just under 1 hour and 45 minutes. And they actually had a little intermission in there too. But basically, it was like watching a house show. You had the one locked off camera, like the one hard camera, no commentary. You're just watching the feed from the show happen. So we'll go over the 5 matches real quickly, just run down what happened. So match 1 was 2 young lions. We had Yuya Uemura versus Yota Tsuji. These are 2 of the newer young lions. They went to a time limit draw. This was a 10-minute time limit match. They fought to the time limit draw. A little bit after back and forth after the bell, but decent match. And the thing about these kind of matches is that if you're watching these guys from this point, in 2 or 3 years when they're becoming like big stars in New Japan, these kind of matches come into play when you go like, oh, the first time they fought, it was a 10-minute time limit draw. Anyway, decent match. So we go on to match.
New Japan makes you do your homework.
They definitely do. So match 2 was Manabu Nakanishi, the old veteran, versus Tomoyuki Oka, who's one of the more established young lions at this point. And for fans at home, Manabu Nakanishi, he actually appeared on Monday Night Nitro back, I want to say 96, 97. His name in New Japan, his name in WCW was Kurosawa. Currently, he's 51 years old. Like I said, one of the veterans of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and basically they just went back and forth. And as is expected, the veteran won. Nakanishi wins with the Argentine backbreaker. An Argentine backbreaker is basically a torture rack. If you're familiar with Lex Luger, you put the guy on your shoulders and you just kind of jump up and down a little bit, and he taps out. So we go to match 3. This is a tag match. Ryusuke Taguchi, the Funky Weapon, with young lion Ren Narita, and they fought the veteran team of Hiroshi Tenzan and Hiro Saito. Hiro Saito and Hiroshi Tenzan are former NWO Japan members, and basically the veteran team wins. Tenzan beats Narita with the Anaconda Vice. And then we'll go on to match 4. And match 4, this is kind of the match that really kind of piqued the interest of the fan base, because it's a match versus young lion Shota Umino versus established star from Big Japan Wrestling, Daisuke Sekimoto, also known as the Muscle Monster. Daisuke Sekimoto, I believe he was showing up at this last WrestleMania weekend. I think he showed up on at least the one time I think I saw him was on Kaiju Big Battle. He was like the Hulk. They actually just painted him green because Daisuke Sekimoto, he's kind of a short guy, but he's like built like a brick shit house. He's just like a big muscle dude. And he's kind of he's an established star in Japan. So it was kind of like people were like, oh, he's showing up on a New Japan, show. And basically, Daisuke Sekimoto wins with the lariat. He just hits Shota with the lariat and knocks the kid out. And that led us into the main event, match 5. Ayada Yoshida, who was representing Kaientai Dojo, facing Yuji Nagata, again, one of the established veterans of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And Yuji Nagata wins with his backdrop hold. It's like a belly-to-back, a high-angle belly-to-back suplex into a pin. So just a real quick, easy show to watch. Like I said, an hour and 45 minutes. But that's what you're getting with the the Lionsgate Project shows. This is the first one I've actually watched that I can actually remember watching, and I thought it was an easy show to watch, a great show to watch. So we'll move into that segues us perfectly into our next news item, which is Daisuke Sekimoto. So he's a Big Japan Wrestling star. That's actually a promotion, Big Japan Wrestling, BJW. And like I said, he was, in New Orleans for WrestleMania week, and he showed up in a bunch of shows. Like I said, with the Lionsgate Project, outside stars will show up. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're gonna go over to New Japan Pro Wrestling, but it's always kind of piques the interest. Like, hey, this guy might show up. So Sekimoto was asked about it. Like, are you going to New Japan Pro Wrestling? So Sekimoto stated that Big Japan is still his battleground, but if New Japan Pro Wrestling invited him back, he'd be happy to return. So this has started drumming up interest in the around Twitter and the kind of internet wrestling fan community for a Sekimoto Tomohiro Ishii rematch. So these guys, like I said, Sekimoto is a short, he's a squat dude. I mean if he's 5'6", that's probably reaching. I mean he's a short guy, but he's built, dude. Like he's it looks like a superhero. And then him and Ishii, that's going to be like a hard hitting match. So the last time this match happened, they have fought before, was in so last time it happened was in Kurikan Hall, November 2007. So since then they've appeared on opposite ends of various tag matches, most recently in 2015. But I can only imagine like Sekimoto and Ishii meeting in the G1. Like that would be amazing because when you're G1, the guys go hard. Tony, are you familiar at all with Sekimoto?
Well, I do know one thing. I know that Sekimoto and Ishii were part of a parking lot battle royal that was won by Toru Yano, and that battle royal also included Tetsuya Naito, Makabe, and Hanma, which proves, forget Kenny Omega, the only man to beat Okada is Toru Yano in a battle royal in a parking lot.
I mean, listen, I can't disagree. They call Toru Yano the sublime master thief for a reason. I mean, this guy knows how to steal wins. And I know that was not a Toru Yano news item there, but I will take the opportunity to put Toru Yano over when I can. Yeah, anytime we can talk about Toru Yano is a good time to talk about Toru Yano, man. I love him, man. He's one of my favorites. I mean, I actually got to meet Toru Yano in Las Vegas for one of the ROH / New Japan shows. And it had everybody. I mean, Shibata was there, Tanahashi was there, Okada was there, and I got the most nervous when I was about to meet Toru. I was just like a little schoolgirl beating like the Beatles. Like it was like I was freaking out. Like I was having a freak out session. So yeah. Listen. If Gato, if New Japan had the balls to put the belt on Yano Toru and have
bring it on.
Just like nut shot, roll him up, 1, 2, 3. He's new IWGP Heavyweight Champion. I would be just doing backflips. Yeah,
just for a month. Just do it for 1 month.
Yeah, for a day. I don't care.
For one day. Yeah. Bring on the belt, man.
Yeah. So
stranger things have happened. This is pro wrestling. Stranger things have happened.
Just ask former WCW champion David Arquette. He'll tell you. Number Magazine in Japan has updated their top wrestler poll. And Tony, why don't you go ahead and run down the latest top 10 starting from number 10.
All right, moving up the list at number 10 is Hiromu Takahashi from Los Ingobernables de Japón. Number 9, Io Shirai from Stardom. Number 8 is Kairi Sane, the Mae Young Classic winner from WWE. Number 7, the Golden Star, Kota Ibushi. Number 6, Jiro Eichmann Kuroshio from Wrestle 1. Number 5, the best bout machine, Kenny Omega. Number 4, the IWGP Heavyweight Champion of the World, Kazuchika Okada. Number 3, the recently heel-turned Shinsuke Nakamura from WWE. And getting bumped down to number 2, the leader of Los Ingobernables de Japón, Tetsuya Naito. And the man toppling him from the mountain, Hiroshi Tanahashi, takes your number 1 spot.
So the big things I'm seeing that are jumping out to me on this list is Tanahashi being number 1. I mean, Tanahashi, he's just lost to Okada, but he's more popular than ever, it seems. I mean, he seems like he really is. I mean, at least according to this poll and the way it seems like watching the product from America, is that Tanahashi really is the most popular wrestler in Japan. And right below him, you got Naito. I mean, and we're looking at these points from the way the point system works. I mean, Naito has 22,127 points, and Tanahashi has 22,600 points. That's not a very big difference. I mean, he's right underneath them. And then, you know, looking at Hiromu, he's jumped into the top 10. Maybe that is a little foreshadowing on what's going to happen in the Best of the Super Juniors this year. But Omega, so Okada, he's still holding at number 4, which is a solid like 10,000 points below Tanahashi. But Kenny Omega is, you know, he's at 8,400 or so points. So he's about 4,000 points behind Okada, but he's moving up. He's coming up and biting at Okada's heels. So it's always interesting to see what the actual Japanese fans are thinking about who's the most popular. So I mean,
I really appreciate getting that context of what the Japanese fans are thinking, because I don't speak Japanese, so I'm quite often wonder, like, what actually are they saying? How do Japanese fans receive these guys in these shows? And so getting this information, I always like getting this information for that reason.
Yeah, it helps because we're in our bubble here. It's all Ring of Honor, it's all Bullet Club. So it definitely helps to see what the actual Japanese fans are thinking. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of movement on this week. You got a lot of guys moving up, a couple people moving down, but Hiroshi Tanahashi, man, like I said, the once and future ace, man. The people still love him. Yeah, I love him. I mean, I love him more now than I ever did my entire time watching New Japan Pro Wrestling.
He's great, man, and I think it's a really strong. I don't want to use the term nostalgia because I don't think he's a nostalgia act at all, but I feel like it's that veteran fondness, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For that, like you're like when Randy Couture fought for the heavyweight title again, and he just came back and was loved, and it's that kind of deal with Tanahashi. He's that respected veteran that everybody loves, and I mean, clearly.
Yeah, and it's also I'm also seeing that to me it's great to see Io Shirai and Kairi Sane, 2 female wrestlers on this list. I'm not familiar with Eichmann in the number 6 position, but I'm familiar with everybody else on this board, and that about wraps it up, man. This has been Radio Strong Style. I'd like to remind all the fans that are listening. If you're listening, you're a New Japan fan. You've been listening to the show this long. The next events that are coming up on New Japan World are Best of the Super Junior shows. Those will be happening on May 18th, 19th, and the 22nd. We're not getting all of the New Japan. We're not getting all of the Best of the Super Juniors shows shown on NJPW World. But we are getting the events from the 18th, the 19th, and the 22nd, which I think 18th is the A block, 19th is the B block, and the 22nd is also the B block. So, if you're looking for more New Japan action, that's when that's coming up. And right now, I'd like to thank my co-host, Tony. Do you have any parting words of wisdom you'd like to leave the crowd with?
Get at me on Twitter and Instagram, Tony Tiger Mask with capital T's. And I'm looking forward to these Super Junior cards coming up here in the next few days. And, I'm actually going to take a break from Bigfoot hunting to go and watch that Lionsgate card that you were talking about up there. So I think I'm going to check that out and enjoy myself out here on the ocean, watch some New Japan, and take it easy. So I hope everybody else enjoys these cards and has a nice weekend. And until next time, we'll see you.
Right on. So as always, you can follow us on Twitter at rstrongstyle. That's the letter R and the words strong style. On Instagram, we're at Radio Strong Style. And you can email us questions, drink recipes, love letters, hate mails, any ancient pirate treasure maps you have lying around. Just send those to radiostrongstyle@gmail.com. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I bid you good night, and I want to leave you with the words of the modern-day warrior poet Satoshi Kojima. I am going to bed now. I will not eat bread before going to bed because it gets fat. I'll eat when I get up, baby. This was Radio Strong Style. Don't forget to tip your waitress.